British Museum Station Ghosts, London Underground's most haunted tube stations. Subscribe to Fact Feast so you can feast your eyes on more content from the darker side. The British Museum. Apart from being one of the world's most famous historic institutions rich in ancient antiquities, is also a name shared with a long-since abandoned London Underground station. It has taken its place in London's folklore as a ghost station, not simply because it's disused, but also because it's reputed to be haunted. British Museum Tube Station opened at 133 High Holborn, near the junction with New Oxford Street, in 1900 to serve London's Underground Central Line, close to the British Museum. In 1906, Holborn Station was opened less than 100 yards, about 100 metres, away on what is now the Piccadilly line by a competing underground railway company. But the tunnel layout didn't allow for an interchange to be constructed. Holborn Station was better situated than the British Museum Station, as it had better tram connections, and so the tunnels under the High Holborn were enlarged to create new platforms at Holborn Station for an interchange between the two lines, and the British Museum Station was abandoned and closed on the 24th of September 1933. Ironically, it became a ghost station. The British Museum Station was reused up to the 1960s as a military administrative office and emergency command post, but it is now completely disused except for some storage of tracks and sleepers, which can be seen from passing trains. The surface station building was demolished and replaced with an office block in 1989, preventing access from street level. Legend is told that the abandoned station tunnels are haunted by the ghost of an ancient priestess, an Egyptian god named Amun-Ra, which is said to be dressed in a loincloth and headdress. This tale is associated with her cursed remains, which can be found in the museum itself. It was believed that she could rise during the night to haunt the tube tunnels with screams and moans, and that her wailing reflects the anguish caused by the desecration of her tomb, and that her relics in the museum are cursed as a result of being a vengeful spirit. This may seem far-fetched, but a story goes that in 1935, two women mysteriously vanished from nearby Holborn Station, with witnesses claiming to have heard ghostly moaning around the time of their disappearance. Coincidentally, this event coincided with the release night of a movie named Bulldog Jack, which made use of a fictional tunnel running from the closed British Museum Station to the museum itself. So you'll have to reach your own conclusions to whether these witnesses got carried away with the stories of a pharaonic phantom. Indeed, owing to tales of a ghost mummy haunting the station, and not long after the women were reported missing, a national newspaper offered a cash reward to anyone who was brave enough to spend the night in the abandoned station. It seems that no one was brave enough to accept the risk, whether they believed in ghosts or not. This story might have more to do with myth than reality, for Amun-Ra is in actual fact an Egyptian god rather than a mummy. The stories of ghosts and curses are associated with a burial lid, which can be found in the museum and has obtained the unfortunate moniker of the Unlucky Mummy. The grave's occupant was indeed a woman, but there's no evidence to suggest that she was a priestess or even a princess. She is called the Unlucky Mummy, as she has been blamed for all kinds of calamities and disasters that befell anyone associated with the artifact ever since it was discovered in the Victorian era. As for the disturbing sounds heard coming from the tunnels, it's not unusual to hear all sorts of eerie noises deep underground, created by creaking and cracks as air rushes along tunnels and ducts, and this can unsettle people into believing natural phenomena is something paranormal. However, It appears that strange and unexplained marks were found on the tunnel walls following these unfortunate events. So could there have been something more sinister to their disappearance? That being said, there doesn't seem to be any newspaper records of these events, so we might as well be discussing an urban legend. There's also no evidence for a tunnel connecting the museum and the former station of the same name, but even if the museum denies its existence, that's never enough to quell creepy tales of paranormal happenings emanating from the bowels of the tube. Though this might have something to do with the long-abandoned tunnels under the British Museum station. Perhaps the mysterious noises rising from deep underground were the sounds of women who somehow became lost in the long-forgotten tunnels and were searching frantically for a way out. But maybe, just maybe, the priestess of Amun-Ra wanders the tunnels in search of lost souls. Please subscribe and share this video and give it a like if you enjoyed watching to help support this channel.